Hi, so today I wanted to share with you what it really takes to actually resolve your emotional eating. So what it takes to resolve those emotions under the emotional eating. So welcome, my name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist and emotional eating expert. And I struggled with emotional eating for many years, and a lot of the women that come to me and that I work with have the same struggle. And a lot of the times we don't realize what is really going on with our emotional eating. We might think we need to diet more, exercise more, just have more control. But what's really going on and a big part of it, are the emotions underneath the emotional eating. So emotional eating is really when we use food to cope with our emotions, when we're using food to kind of distract us from how we're feeling, because what we're feeling is unpleasant. We don't feel comfortable. We don't want to feel out of control, or the anxiety or all of that stuff that's going on. We don't want to feel it. And a lot of the times the emotional eating is really automatic. So we use food to cope with our emotions. And so when I finally, through yo-yo dieting and over-exercising and all of that, realized that I was emotional eating was a big part of that, I started to put all the pieces together. And today I'm going to share with you what I found. So what I found was, as an emotional eater, we were not equipped to really process and move through our emotions. So our parents might have modeled this to us. They might have distracted or suppressed or denied our emotions and their own emotions. They might have said, kind of been like, everything's great, I'm fine, and suppressed everything. Or maybe they themselves were emotional eaters and that's what they modeled to us. And so, they might have also given us food when we were not feeling great. And so we learned that, maybe food makes us feel better, because when we eat food, it does make us feel better temporarily. And so that's the first thing I learned, is that our emotions, we didn't know how to really be with them. The second thing is that if let's say our parents gave us food when we were in a certain mood, or we discovered that eating foods made us feel better, and we keep doing this over and over again, it becomes a pattern, it becomes a habit, and it becomes really entrenched in our brain, because when we're feeling discomfort, we need a way out of it. And so food becomes the way out of it. And if we keep doing it, this pattern becomes really automatic, and we'll just instantly go to it without even thinking about it. We'll be in that pattern because our brain likes to be efficient, and patterns are a way that it can be more efficient. And it's a way for us to deal with the emotions that we don't want to feel. The third thing I found out, like I mentioned, the brain loves patterns, but emotional eating is a pattern. It's a coping mechanism that we can create. It's not healthy, but it's something that we can create, and it becomes really efficient over time because we keep creating that pathway in our brain to go back to food whenever we're feeling uncomfortable or all of these stressful emotions. And it will be our default when we are feeling stressed out, when we're feeling overwhelmed. It's going to be our default because we don't know how to deal with those emotions that are overwhelming us. So those were the things that I discovered, and it made total sense to me. That's why I was in this pattern, and it was almost so automatic and unconscious. And, the big takeaway for me from that is, how do I change this pattern? How do I move past this pattern? And so the first thing that was super important, and this is an ongoing journey, was to learn how to be with my emotions, allow them to be processed through my body. So emotions live in the body, and we usually, as an emotional eater, if we're not modeled how to be with our emotions, we feel really unsafe around them. We might have been told they were wrong or bad, and we just don't even know how to be with them. In our society in general, we don't talk about emotions. We kind of try to push them away. We think something's wrong with us if we're too emotional. And especially if you're sensitive, you probably had a lot of emotions and we're told to keep them down. So the first key step is really to be with those emotions, learn to process and move through them from a deeper level in the body. And so that was something that I started doing, really being with my emotions, feeling them, processing them, not judging them. The second thing that I needed to break the pattern was I needed support and guidance. Yes, I could be with my emotions to a degree, but I needed to also learn that. I needed it to be modeled to me. I needed to learn that it was safe to be with emotions. I needed to learn about emotions. I needed to know what they were. So emotions are data. They're information telling us about our day-to-day lives, if something feels good or not. And if we suppress that, we don't ever get that information to make the changes or to pivot in our life that we need. And the only way to feel safe in feeling these emotions at first is we need it modeled to us. We need to learn what we didn't learn at a very young age, because it's really our parents that show us how to be with our emotions. And this is where the pattern of not being with them really starts, is when we're really young. The third thing I found is that without support and guidance and someone there to sort of model this to me, I would be stuck in the pattern. So sometimes when we're changing, these patterns are so deeply ingrained that it's hard to shift out of them because they're there for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And if we don't have someone to see how we need to shift out of a pattern, we'll keep going back to it because these patterns make us feel really safe. We actually created all of this to feel safe around our emotions, to not feel overwhelmed or out of control. And so now we know this pattern is affecting us, affecting our health, affecting the way we feel about ourselves, affecting how we feel around food and our body. And so we want to shift it, but it's still keeping us safe on some level. So we need a more gentler way to move out of this pattern. So having a guidance, having accountability and support is going to help move you out of this pattern in a much more gentle way without the yo-yo dieting or the yo-yo of changing everything. It's going to be much more supportive and it will help break this cycle over time and give you the right tools. And so this is, what happened for me. I needed that support. Unless you're super disciplined and determined and you can really slowly do that for yourself, it's much harder without that support outside of you and someone to hold space for you as you dive deeper into deeper emotions. They help hold that container and help you grow so that you can hold those deeper emotions underneath the emotional eating. And so, this is something we weren't taught when we were younger. And so this is why emotions, what they are, what they mean in our life, how to process and resolve and move through them is such an integral and key part of the emotional eating evolution program. If we don't know what emotions are, we'll be really afraid and nervous to dive into them. We need a gentler approach to go deeper. And so, if you are feeling like this is making sense to you, that you have this pattern, that you need a way to get out of it because you've been doing it on your own for years and years and making no progress, and you need more support, accountability, and guidance, then I invite you to book a complimentary emotional eating assessment call. And so this call is all about you and where you want to go and if the program is a good fit for you. This is an amazing call to also get clarity. And so if this sounds like the right approach to you, I invite you to book that call. So our emotions are so key, and we need to really understand and go deeper in them when we're resolving emotional eating. And this is not just at a surface level, this is going much deeper into the body. It's not about just talking about it, it's really processing, resolving, and moving through it on a body and somatic level. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And of course, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I look forward to sharing more with you. And I hope you have a great day.